spectacle. These movie special effects are part of a whole revolution in sight and sound entertainment. Today's advancements in technology are propelling filmmakers, musicians, visual and sound artists of all kinds into new realms of expression and expanding the very nature of entertainment itself. But how did it all begin? The motion picture was one of the earliest forms of entertainment technology. In the beginning, audiences were awed and amazed simply to watch motion recreated from real life. Incredible as it seems today, this film of the Lyon Express arriving at the station caused some patrons to shriek, duck under their seats, and even to faint. But as the novelty of watching scenes from everyday reality began to wear off, early movie makers turned to new subjects. Some began to reproduce skits and comedies in the tradition of burlesque theater. Others began experimenting with the camera to create some of the first movie magic. By stopping the camera and restarting it after the scene had been changed, these pioneers were able to create a series of crazy transformations that amazed audiences everywhere. In this scene, the photographer was carefully replaced by a dummy, creating a spectacle which must have shocked the unsuspecting audiences of the day. Early filmmakers also used the device of double exposure, rewinding the film in the camera to photograph a new image onto the original scene. These early camera tricks laid the foundation for what was to become the art of special effects. People have always hungered for the marvelous, the wonderful, the amazing. Before the invention of movies, it was the magician who catered to this universal desire. So it was no accident that the filmmaker known as the father of movie special effects was a French magician, Georges Méliès. Méliès is most famous for his surrealistic film, A Trip to the Moon. Completed in 1902, it was the first science fiction movie ever made. Méliès, seen here as the first man on the moon, combined elaborate theatrical effects with animation and special optical tricks. He produced some 4,000 films in all, and in the process discovered many techniques that are still in use today. Méliès' inventive spirit inspired filmmakers around the world, triggering a quest for ways to create better and more realistic special effects. This quest was to lead some 3 decades later to the creation of King Kong, one of the most famous and beloved of all the creatures ever brought to life by special effects. Kong certainly illustrates the textbook definition of a special effect, a technique or device used to produce an illusion of reality in a situation where it is not possible, economic, or safe to use the real thing. When King Kong first appeared on the screen in 1933, many viewers believed he was a real, living creature. To achieve this astonishing realism, the makers of King Kong perfected and combined many different techniques. Here, Kong is a model about 18 inches high, and the captured heroine is nothing more than a tiny doll. Much of the forest and the cave in these miniature sets is depicted by matte paintings, realistic scenes often painted on glass to provide both the foreground and background of a set. In this scene, a previously photographed image of the actress is projected from the rear onto a portion of the miniature set.
It's like a horrible dream.
The same technique is used here to integrate a film of the miniature Kong model into the window area of a life-sized set.
I'm going to stay right here with you. Anyhow, you know...
Live action, miniature sets, and matte paintings, combined with large-scale mechanical props like this giant hand, all work together in King Kong to create a compelling sense of reality.
In Kong, the existing special effects techniques were really refined to a great degree. what turns me on is that we are creating something that doesn't exist and can't be done, we'll say, in any other way except through special effects. Matte paintings, miniatures, and also particularly the rear projection in miniatures. And that is a projection machine that projects a pre-photographed film, and it is integrated into a set, a miniature set in many cases. And there were things that were developed, such as the screen for the rear projection was oscillated so that it would smooth out texture of the screen. I enjoyed my experience on it because I learned a lot, and I look on that picture today, as many do, that it still is entertaining to the newer generations that have come since.
It's a little surprising to realize that the most exciting space fantasies of today still use the special effects methods of King Kong. In this memorable scene from The Empire Strikes Back, the Imperial walkers are models about a foot high. Like King Kong, they are painstakingly animated frame by frame.
All right, coming in.
At New World Pictures in Los Angeles, filmmakers today use the same method to bring models to life. This technique is called stop-frame animation. The models have joints which allow them to be moved into different positions. Once placed in the set, the model is carefully manipulated into just the right stance. The camera is lined up to photograph the scene, with the model temporarily frozen in one position. A single frame of film is exposed. Leaving the camera in precisely the same position, the model is then moved again a fraction of an inch, and another single frame is photographed. This process is repeated hundreds of times. If the movements are made carefully, the model in the finished film will seem to move as if it were alive.
Special effects will continue on Discovery Showcase. They don't know how to play it safe. Not when there's a risk to be taken or a challenge to be faced.
Hello, I'm Doug McConnell. Join us for The Adventurers.
Tonight at 10 Eastern, only on the Discovery Channel.
Presenting Mighty Dogs. Pound for pound, these guys use up more energy than most dogs twice their size. That's why we make Mighty Dog. It has the perfect balance of nutrients to help them be their best. Mighty Dog. It does big things for little dogs.
Now it's a lonesome old world when you have to fight it all alone.
At Maytag, we still build them to last longer and need fewer repairs.
And it's twice as hard to take when I'm sitting all alone.
Maytag.
All alone.
The dependability people.
At the Ashby Inn, the secret of our chicken rice recipe is in the rich taste of our chicken stock.
Country Inn rice dishes made with hearty country ingredients and Uncle Ben's rice. Taste the country in Uncle Ben's Country Inn. Rice dishes inspired by the finest inns.
That's Mommy's little sweetheart.
Now there's a new Stainmaster carpet that handles foot traffic like never before. New Stainmaster Extra Life. It stays beautiful longer. Only from DuPont.
When it comes to making batteries that last, Somebody's in high gear. Today's Duracell batteries can even outperform the ones we made just a few years back. You can't top the Comfort Top.
They enter the world full of innocence and wonder, witness the miracle of birth, and hear Junior's first words. On The World of Baby Animals, Monday at 9 Eastern, only on Discovery Showcase.
Le mouton est blanc. Le mouton est blanc. Répétez.
Le mouton est blanc.
All across the country, cable television is beginning to change the way we live. In small ways.
Great ridiculous.
And in more important ways. And today, no one brings cable television to more people than TCI.
I'll give you 2 Toby Barlows for 1 Danny Baxter.
Barlow could buy a wicket.
A few years ago, TCI brought cable television to the people of Fergus County, Montana. Residents report, Fergus County hasn't been the same place since.
Hot enough for you, Red?
Well, actually, Merle, recent meteorological trends do appear to validate suppositions about global warming, a so-called greenhouse effect, as it were. Fill her up.
Continues on Discovery Showcase.
The greenhouse.
In addition to realistic sets and miniatures, sometimes the script calls for creating imaginary creatures that can be made to move without any camera tricks.
Some people call it special makeup effects. Some people call it prosthetics. I don't know what to call it. It's creating an organic structure that moves. This little guy is a good example of what cable control can do. These are all bicycle cables. They're attached to a fiberglass armature, a skeletal structure inside. There are little affixed mechanisms to the foam rubber casting, and it moves when articulated with cables. I'm asked to create a living, breathing entity, something that looks organic, but is articulated in a way left up to my own discretion. And lately that's been cable control, puppets, muppets, masks, just about anything you can think of. For example, in the film Android, I was asked to create a facsimile of Klaus Kinski's head.
I want you, but the code specifically states...
Don't tell me about the code.
To create the mechanical Klaus Kinski head, first we had to start with a direct casting of Klaus Kinski's face. That is, alginate over his face to create a solid dental stone version of him. Based on this, we create a silicone mold. We press clay into the mold, create a Kinski sculpture. Based on that sculpture, we create this mold. From here, we create a core. From the core, we create a fiberglass skull. It's cut, hinged, and mechanized. By mechanized, I mean we put cables everywhere muscles would go. We put the mold together, we create a foam rubber casting, which is about a ½ inch to a ¼ of an inch thick all around. We put it all together, and you have a living, breathing Klaus Kinski head. A little bit worse for wear, but he has a few movements left in him. Looks a little upset. Max 404. He has a little plate in the back of his head. When they remove his hair, and his little panel opens up, there's little flashing lights in there where his assassin circuit is. I'm just asked to create things that don't normally exist, but somehow have to for a film.
Another very important element of producing successful special effects is the art of creating believable miniature models. A lot of ingenuity went into the building of the model spaceships and space station for the film Android.
Our assignment was to create a space station and a police ship which would be part of a fleet of police cruisers that were out in this sector of outer space. So our model builder worked with the director and came up with some designs that we knew that we could do a good job on within the parameters of the rather strict budget. So basically, one of our main techniques of model building is to take a basic structure. The basic structure in this case is a watch display case, and then use model kits that you can buy in the store to add detail. We might use pieces from battleship models or gun models, such as a rifle barrel might look good as part of the engine of a spaceship, or a piece from a battleship might look good as a storage tank for a space station. And it's just using shapes and using objects in a creative way and using your imagination.
Once the miniatures are built, they still must be photographed in movement and combined with the rest of the special effects elements. Let's take a look now at how these models were integrated into this spectacular space scene, created by Midland Production Corporation at their state-of-the-art studio in Richmond, California. Once again, the spaceship is a model, constructed of hundreds of parts from various model kits as well as specially formed pieces. The movement of the model and the motion picture camera are guided and tracked along 12 independent axes by a computer. Each of up to 20 elements of a complex scene has to be filmed separately. One of the basic principles of special effects is that images can be combined to move together even though they were filmed separately. The first step is to film the spaceship against a black background. This camera movement is memorized by the computer, making it possible to repeat this exact shot as many times as necessary. This time, the movement is repeated in a darkened set with flaring lights, simulating the powerful blast of the rocket engines. These flares will appear in the exact location of the engines photographed in the first shot. To combine this shot with a background image, it's also necessary to film the ship in silhouette. This will produce a strip of film that will allow light to pass through the scene everywhere except for the precise location of the spaceship. Once again, the process is repeated, this time greatly overexposing the rocket ship to create a negative image. The set equipment, still visible, will be blocked out later. After the spaceship has been filmed, the computer motion control unit is reprogrammed to film a new shot. This time, the camera is filming the background of the scene, a large model of a planet's surface. As before, the film camera is tracked through a series of complicated, predetermined moves that can be duplicated as many times as necessary. The camera here is shooting from the audience's point of view as the rocket heads toward its explosive collision with the space colony base established in one of the craters of the planet. Finally, each of these separate film elements is loaded into the optical printer, where it is combined to create the finished effect.
It begins with a light source and two projectors in which we put previously exposed pieces of film, a camera, and all controlled by a computer. In a shot like 47, where the ship crashes into the base, we would put in this projector a piece of film of the base and a mat of the ship in order to not print the base where there would be ship in the final composite. That would be printed onto this roll of film, the film backed up to frame 0, these taken out, the ship put in, and carefully lined up with its mat, and then printed into that hole that was left in that space in the film. And the final result is a composite, and a piece of film that will later be integrated into a finished film.
Optical printing, combined with modern computerized motion control cameras, have made possible an incredible precision in special effects photography. In today's movie adventures, special effects artists sometimes combine dozens of separate elements to produce the desired effect. The job of putting together all these images requires patience and painstaking work. But the results are often amazing to behold.
Quick, jam their comlink, center switch.
Much of the incredible movement and energy of these scenes was made possible by a remarkable device called a Steadicam. This is the Steadicam. Its carefully balanced system of pulleys, springs, and joints insulate the camera from the movement of the camera operator. This unique design allows the camera person to obtain a smooth-flowing, continuous shot over virtually any type of terrain. Imagine your task is to follow these children at play as they run up the stairs of this park. This is what an ordinary handheld shot would look like. The jerky motion, inevitable even in the hands of the most expert operator, draws attention to the camera. On the Steadicam, however, this spring-loaded arm acts as a shock absorber. The perfectly balanced camera mount maintains its stability while the operator monitors the scene on a small video screen. With some 45 pounds of equipment strapped to his torso, this cameraman is having no easy time moving smoothly up the steps. Let's take a look at the shot, however, and see just how forgiving the Steadicam can be.
Special effects will continue on Discovery Showcase.
Brought to you in part by Kraft, proudly setting the table for the 1992 U.S. Olympic team.
Angelo, you gotta see this. DiGiorno pasta.
That's pasta from a grocery store.
It's in a refrigerated case.
Tortellini, ravioli, 4 cheese sauce, marinara.
DiGiorno must have read our menu. And taste.
Uh-oh.
If people can make pasta this good at home, why come here?
Ambiance?
For restaurant taste at your place, DiGiorno.
Hey, Al, you're home.
Thank you for a lovely dinner.
Aren't you gonna ask me in? For coffee?
Well, I do have taster's choice.
Then how can I refuse?
Savor the sophisticated taste of Taster's Choice.
Well...
Just one more cup?
You said that 2 cups ago.
You know how much I love your coffee.
Then, by all means, take it with you.
Just when I need someone to love me, just when I think the world's too cold, there you are, right there beside me. There you are in my heart, standing by me once again. There
Sheba, because you cherish your cat.
At the Ashby Inn, the secret of our chicken rice recipe is in the rich taste of our chicken stock.
Country Inn rice dishes made with hearty country ingredients and Uncle Ben's rice. Taste the country in Uncle Ben's Country Inn. Rice dishes inspired by the finest inns.
The race is on to make batteries that last longer. And today's Duracell batteries can even outrun the ones we made just a few years ago. Today's Duracell. You can't top the copper top.
Hey, Mom, we went to the planetarium today, and we saw the rings of Saturn. Just like in the Discovery Channel magazine. Mom, now I know I want to be an astronaut.
TDC Magazine, a reading adventure for the entire family. From the mysteries of outer space to the wonders of life on Earth, TDC Magazine takes you there.
You know, I just love the
Discovery Channel's magazine.
A different travel destination every month, well-written articles, beautiful photographs.
I wonder where the Discovery Channel will take us tonight.
TDC Magazine is the only comprehensive guide to watching the Discovery Channel. Hour-by-hour schedules and complete program descriptions make it easy to plan your viewing. Plus, award-winning articles on science, history, nature, and adventure. Call 1-800-832-8343 and receive 12 monthly issues for only $14.95. That's more than 50% off the cover price.
Special Effects continues on Discovery Showcase.
2, 1, drop.
In the movie The Right Stuff, special effects artists were called upon to capture the gripping immediacy of real events in the history of aviation.
The special effects for The Right Stuff required a kind of documentary look that could easily intercut with live-action airplanes, and that, I think, was the most difficult thing that we had to pull off believably for the audience. Phil Kaufman, our director, wanted the audience to feel the raw energy and speed that was sort of at the heart of flight testing, and he felt that if there wasn't that sense of violence and energy in those sequences where men were trying to break the sound barrier, that the audience wouldn't really know what they were up against. To try to get a handle on what would ring true, we studied a lot of Air Force research footage, test footage that we got a hold of from Bell Aircraft or from NASA and the government. We'd look at the footage over and over, analyze what it was that the documentary cameraman in those cases, or the research camera that might be locked to the fuselage of an airplane, what that stuff looked like, and then we tried to duplicate those same documentary camera techniques in effects work. There's necessarily a period of exploration, and sometimes that process leads us through lots of crazy kinds of experiments. Simultaneous to investigating motion control techniques, we tried about every other thing that we had come up with, including the use of helium balloons to carry small models aloft, and following that with long lenses, documentary style. We tethered planes from bungee cords so that they would bounce. We tried using rockets in untethered planes, just blasting them straight up and trying to follow the little rocket plane. The investigation of all these techniques really started to come together when we tried some of those same approaches outside, outdoors, in natural sunlight.
Okay, let it go.
I took an F-104 model to our third floor window, asked Rick Fichter, one of our cameramen, to run outside and tell me how it looked, just thrown out the window like a Frisbee. He stood on the ground, and we had some guys with a parachute strung out like a safety net to try to catch the plane. And he allowed us how it was terrific, and when we showed the footage to Phil Kaufman, the director in dailies the next day, he felt the same way, and felt that it played directly into that realistic, kind of gritty, quirky quality that real events have as opposed to computer motion controlled events. We built a number of models in multiple kinds of scales. You can see this model, which some people call Dumbo. We have thrown this thing out of the window, tried about every way we could to destroy it, and it's still persisted in surviving. We also worked with a number of smaller sized models. This is a 4-foot model. We had a 2-foot as well as this 6-inch model. It's this size that was used when the experimental plane is dropped from the mothership, the B-29. To create the background clouds, we used a World War II PT boat camouflage fodder. We tethered airplanes on wires from horizontal points on the ground sometimes, and sometimes from an 80-foot man lift. We would just hold it at the top of the wire and let it drop down through the clouds. To create the illusion determined that the plane, the X-1, was approaching this sonic barrier and was experiencing that the buffeting that General Yeager described, we applied a vibrator to the front lens element of a 1200 millimeter lens, making it look like the plane was about to fall apart. What we wanted to put across in the reentry of John Glenn's capsule was the sheer violence of that event, with the flames and chunks of this retropack breaking off and falling away. We achieved the reentry effects by two different means, one of them being the use of liquid nitrogen. The liquid nitrogen would spew out from around the rim of the capsule and out of several nozzles within the retropack, and that would be blown backwards away from the direction of travel of the capsule to create the sense of this in a violent airstream. And then that white liquid nitrogen was backlit with orange gels, that is, orange filters over all of the light sources, so as to make everything that appeared to be white nitrogen now red nitrogen.
Working as a concept designer for a film like Blade Runner was to invent a concise alternate reality, which was the director's vision, translated through real sociological and technological parameters that we developed by discussion. We very seriously took a sociological idea coupled with technology and imagined that buildings would go up in height. Current buildings are about 1,300 feet, and we envisioned 3,000-foot buildings. That puts into play a whole series of construction ideas, such as elevated roadways, huge access pyramids up to the towers that are the buildings themselves. And for the particular reality that we were creating for Blade Runner, we wanted a sort of moody, almost a oppressive technological atmosphere.
Science fiction films like Blade Runner provide plausible visions of the future based on sound sociological projections. These previews of possible future societies can both instruct and forewarn. Futurists like Sid Mead study the leading edge of today's technology and try to imagine where these technological breakthroughs will lead us in the future.
We are riding on this little planet around the sun, hurtling through space towards some unknown point, and how we get there and in what kind of style and in what kind of mental and spiritual and emotional state is purely dependent on ourselves. We have nobody else to depend on, or to blame for that matter, than our own averaged intelligence.
At Hollywood's Nyman Tiller Associates, matching footsteps is one of the many tricks in a repertoire of movie sound magic. On the Foley stage, natural sounds are created by an artist called a Foley Walker. The Foley Walker must have the skill and timing of a dancer as he matches sounds simultaneously to the picture. Sound effects like these are commonly added to a movie after it has been shot. This allows the mixer to isolate the separate sound elements and enhance their quality. Building the sound design for a film is a complex endeavor. Some movies have nearly 100 separate soundtracks. Today, electronics and computers assist in this process on many levels. At Nyman Tiller, One major innovation is the access system. Thousands of sound effects have been stored on a magnetic disc. This computerized system replaces the traditional method of sound editing, which requires rooms full of editors and stacks of magnetic soundtracks. Long hours have to be spent searching for and retrieving all the separate sound effects from various reels of tape. With the aid of a computer, however, the access operator is able to immediately retrieve the sound he wants from the magnetic disc. Matching the sound effects to the picture is a fascinating process of trial and error. The mixer will hunt about for a sound effect, natural or artificial, that seems to work best. Then he may alter that sound by changing the pitch or equalization. As in traditional sound work, the judgment and skill of the individual is still the crucial element.
The good thing about this system is that you can manipulate the sound, you can change the pitch, you can make it run almost forever or to infinity, so that you have the opportunity to stretch sounds and make them fit the picture more than you can conventionally. For example, if you call a helicopter now, this is just the raw sound, the actual length of the sound that runs. Now that actual sound runs 3 seconds and 25 frames, which is not very long. I can take the same sound and now I can make it run forever or loop it so that it'll just keep coming around again. So now the sound is running and it will just keep repeating and repeating, but it's a noiseless repeat. You don't hear it repeat or anything. So I can take it and slow the pitch down, speed it up, change the pitch. So what I can actually do is start it off at a very slow, just the blades turning. Then by increasing the pitch, I can make it take off. And then fly it away, take it away out of disappearing off around the mountain or whatever. And then it can come back in. For a second, slow down. And stop. So that's all from 3 seconds and 25 frames of sound. That's one of the advantages of this machine.
Special effects will continue on Discovery Showcase. Brought to you in...
Frank Serafini regularly travels about the Los Angeles area, collecting sounds for the feature films and television commercials he works on. Sometimes, natural sounds recorded in the field like this will later be altered, slowed down, or speeded up, or even run backwards to create unusual effects. At other times, these natural sounds will be combined with each other, or set to completely different visual images, to create artificial effects that can seem more real than the authentic sound itself. Each of the many separate sound effects elements of a film will eventually be orchestrated into a whole effect score, just as precisely as any composer would arrange a musical score.
The creating process starts with understanding how a sound relates with a particular visual effect and understanding the characteristics and the amplitude of the sound. There's several different things that can happen to a sound. A sound can be sampled into a digital synthesizer, which takes the sound and stores it into numbers, computer information. And then you can manipulate the sound whichever way you want to. You can loop it, you can sustain the sound, you can turn it backwards. The emulator digital synthesizer is a keyboard that allows you to do these types of functions. You can take a voice, for instance. This is digital sound. This is digital sound. That is my voice stored in digital memory into this computer here. This is digital sound. Then I can take that sound and this is digital sound. This is digital sound, digital sound, digital sound, digital sound, and manipulate it anywhere. This is digital sound. 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 That sound can be taken backwards. And turn back again. This is digital sound. This is digital sound. Digital sound. Digital sound. So this process of analog to digital conversion is a very powerful tool in creating special sound effects. For instance, on Tron, this became very handy in creating the disc throw sounds. We took monkey screams from the San Diego Zoo and we processed them into a Fairlight digital synthesizer and also a bullwhip, snap, cutting through air. We took those two elements and we were able to actually perform the discs as they were being thrown. In creating the cycle sound in the Suzuki commercial, that was a challenge to make this motorcycle feel as though it were riding in a world of grid lines and computer animation. What excites me the most about working with the technology and sound is the ability to create sound effects and music that have never been heard before. The possibilities are just endless. It's fantastic.
The sounds of the future have arrived. Today's consumer technologies are bringing these innovations in sound to almost everyone, almost everywhere. But these are just some of the visible signs of a revolutionary new phase in entertainment technology. The amazing power of the computer is expanding our concept of special effects and making possible a whole new form of visual entertainment. Let's take a look now behind the scenes at some of the computer technologies that are leading us toward the electronic special effects of the future. For millions of kids, video games provide an intense, involving experience, often more compelling than movies or TV. Colorful, action-packed games give the player a sense of power not possible from passive, traditional forms of entertainment. When designing a video game, hundreds of gameplay combinations must be programmed into the computer, along with all of the visual instructions that accompany them. The look and complexity of the game design is limited only by the amount of this information that can be stored in the computer's memory.
The amount of memory we have today will be very insignificant compared to what will be available to us in 5 or 10 years. And we will see the home video game become much more sophisticated, more detail, more color, more shading. And eventually it will get to the point where you will not be able to distinguish a video synthesized game image from one that's perfectly naturally photographed. The action in the games and the number of levels that the games will interact with your senses will expand. What I've always hoped and dreamed for is that the individual person in their home would eventually create their own television experience.
Many futurists believe the key to the new technologies will be interactivity, the ability for the viewer or player to become involved in the action. One conceivable direction for interactive entertainment is suggested by this remarkable invention, the flight simulator. At Ames Research Lab in California, pilots test hypothetical aircraft in a simulated cockpit. The images viewed through the 6 windows of the cockpit respond immediately to the pilot's command, changing perspective and location as the craft is maneuvered. The pictures the pilot sees are generated in real time by a bank of high-speed computers. In order to reproduce movement which corresponds precisely to the directions of the pilot, the computers must be able to handle millions of instructions per second. As if playing in a giant video game, the pilot learns the consequences of his mistakes safely. As computing power gets cheaper and more available, this type of visual experience may someday become possible in the home. But even the images of this sophisticated flight simulator only hint at the real possibilities of computer-generated imagery. Today, computers have opened up a whole new field for men's visual imagination. TV commercials packed with computer graphics have become a new art form.
A computer is a new tool to the artist. It allows you to see things in ways that have never been seen before. What artists come up with, what visions they have, I don't know. I know that we have a tool now that allows me as a designer to discover things that I did not know I was going to see, that allows me to be surprised. One of the things in the process of finding where visions go is you don't always have like a clear vision of what it is, but it's the process that you're doing that leads you there.
The process begins at a computer terminal with the entry of each outline to be animated. The computer will be instructed to think in terms of basic geometric shapes called primitives. Once the computer has been told what shapes are desired and how they look from various angles, the designer programs in the movements to be animated. To solidify a shape, the designer must literally imitate the effect of light hitting a three-dimensional object as it moves around within the scene. The necessary calculations are far too complex to be carried out in real time. In fact, each frame, a fraction of a second, may take the computer up to several hours to calculate. The millions of bits of information necessary to specify all the shapes and colors on a frame are transferred to tape or disk storage and then read onto film by a laser scanning device. Even with a very powerful computer, a week of calculations may produce less than a minute of finished film. The results, however, often create a fantastic, self-contained visual world.
Many of the television commercials that are most successful today are ones that are like living in a real dream. You know, it does communicate to you subliminally. There will soon be a time that one won't be able to tell reality from a computer-simulated picture. Computer simulation is a fantastic new tool that allows people to express themselves so clearly and so accurately, more accurately than we have before. And we can apply as much natural physical information to those pictures as we want. You know, we can apply the force of wind or, you know, gravity or heat to the pictures. You can, you know, apply natural physical phenomena to the simulation of those pictures. So it's just getting closer to making films that have a new reality.
Special effects in the movies of the future will increasingly rely on the dazzling three-dimensional imagery of computer animation as electronic effects open the doors to new visual worlds. Today's technology has developed to the point where anything that can be imagined can be filmed. For special effects artists, these new technologies are powerful tools that can bring our dreams to life. No one knows what dreams the future may hold. We can only guess that our unlimited imagination will take us on ever more incredible journeys.
Every day, science takes another step forward, changing our lives in large ways and small. Coming up